thanks, Sarah, for the introduction, and welcome everybody to this safety experience training presentation. It's a best practice sharing on safety experience training. So maybe you have heard about it, you have seen it somewhere. It's nothing principle new, but it's a good experience sharing what we can do, and that's what I'm here for. And yeah, thanks for inviting me for that. Before I start, just a few words about my person. So my name is Matthias Kruppe. I'm living here in Malaysia, in Melaka. Originally, I come from Germany, so not wonder if you hear my pronunciation is not the best, or maybe also in the slides, if you wonder about some sentence or phrase, then so the background is because I'm not a native speaker. So then, before I'm supporting Youngwoo currently as a for extending the international business for the safety experience trainings. And before that, I worked for Siemens Energy Solutions as the global director for HSE. And most of the time I was at construction sites, so I'm not an office person. I'm really a site person there from the experience there in Siemens. So that's just short for my background, and let's start. So industry, just a few words, because I think maybe Youngwoo Industry is not a multi-international company. So it's a company in Seoul in South Korea, and Youngwoo is they started their business in 1999 with safety signage, safety training, and then over the time they come more to the safety training modules, to the experience safety trainings. And since 2018, when I left Siemens, then I joined Youngwoo, and so that's how the contact come together. That a German person living in Melaka working for a South Korean company. Youngwoo develops and manufactures and distributes safety training modules and training centers for simulation of hazards and risk at the workplace. So it's really a practical thing what they do. It's a different type of training. And if you not have heard about it, maybe you will ask yourself, now, what does it mean? And I mean, these safety experience simulators are really for risk prediction training. So it's all about simulating hazards and risks, what we had in the title there. So what we do is, principle, we let workers try out intentionally unsafe acts or conditions, but in a safe and secured environment. So, and with this, I mean, here on the picture, you see some of these modules. Later in the presentation, I will show you a little bit more, and also clips, how they work in practice. But this, with these modules, we want to show as realistic as possible how quickly accidents can happen, especially at construction sites, and what are the consequences of unsafe working or unsafe conditions. And finally, to give the workers a clear guidance and measures on hand how to prevent such accidents in real workplace. Because that is, for us, it's important that we involve the trainees in these training sessions. So if you see this picture, I mean, that's just a few things here. The training, the practical safety training is something to simulate maybe a fall through an uncovered floor opening. So if you all know, for the scaffolds, I mean, if you work at the scaffold and then somebody removed the grating or whatever. So in these training centers, we show them a fall through an uncovered floor opening. They can experience by themselves this fall through an uncovered floor opening and how this can happen in practice, or a rescue from a confined space, or in the background there, behind the digger, you see also the wall collapse excavation pit. So that's all simulators what we do there, and let them experience the hazards and risks by themselves. And I mean, I can tell a lot of words here, but I think the best is if I show you a 1-minute clip, then maybe you get a better impression how these modules work. And let me start with this. Yeah, so this clip was made by ThyssenKrupp, one of the clients from Youngwoo, and it's just gives you an impression how these modules work. And I mean, you could see that the workers are always involved in these modules. So it's not that the trainer teach them and tell them and say, okay, look at this, don't do this, don't do that. So it's really that the workers are an active part of this training. And the thing is, why we do this is because we really convinced that workers accept safety much more better through a practical learning application. So that means what we do with the modules, we use the 5 senses of the human body. So workers or trainees, they can see it, they can touch it, they can hear it. Sometimes they can smell it or taste it, but it's really to make it as much most realistic as possible, to show them hazards and risks at the construction site and how they can avoid it. And as they are a part of this training, an active part of this training, what we have experienced is that workers' awareness for hazards and risks on site is much more better, and this gets improved. So it's a kind of the improvement on worker safety behavior what we do. And I can give you one example how I came to this type of training and how it convinced me personally. Because when I worked for Siemens, we had a mega project in Egypt that was 3 huge construction sites. So when I talk about huge construction sites, you can imagine around 8,000 workers in average on each of these construction sites. So, and our challenges there, and especially in my role then, as I was overall responsible to bring the workers home safely, then the big challenge here was that we had a highly transient workforce. So we had a high fluctuation of personnel because of all the external companies or subcontractors. So they bring person to site, they are not trained. Some workers are from different countries, different nationalities. So we had language barriers. So we could not easily give them the procedure and say, okay, please read it, sign here, and then you are safe and you are able to work safe. So the next was then in Siemens, there was a complexity or mass of safety instruction and guidelines. So you can imagine if you give this to a worker which has not maybe the qualification or the a lower qualification, he will not understand what you want. So maybe he will shake his head and say, yes, 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 we do. And finally, when you go on site, you see a different picture. So yeah, and then one point was also that we had a limited time there, limited trainers available to do all the trainings for this 8,000 workers on site. And that's why we said, okay, we need to do something different here to cope with that. And yeah, the idea was then the Practical Safety Training Center, this park. And the park was installed in front of the construction site. So it's not that we install it somewhere at a remote location, we bring all the workers there and then we transport them back to site. No, it is installed in front of the construction site. So as a part of our induction training, as the theory training, after this induction training, where we introduce whatever the emergency numbers, the speed limits on site and all this, then we let them run through this practical safety training center to experience what are the risks and hazards at our construction site, at the specific construction site. And that was something where we really could change the concentration or the fun the workers had, because in the classroom training they sit there and always I had this feeling, okay, they maybe listen, some of them listen, and then at the end they sign, and then we as the company, we have an evidence for audit or whatever that we have done induction training for them. But really sure that they understood it, we are not. So this is one picture I really like, because it reflects how we changed. I mean, before we had this classroom training, and you see in the faces, and I would imagine that some of you experienced the same in theory training, in a pure classroom training, that you lose rapidly attention of the workers if it comes with too much theory. So when we combined it with the practical part, the workers had much more fun and better understand, because what I said before, they are an active part. They can participate in all these activities and learning in a safe environment, the hazards and risks. So that was a huge difference, what we did in the construction site in Siemens. And coming back to Youngwoo and the business areas, because for today I really focus on construction and building sites for the safety simulators, but there are other sectors of Youngwoo. So for industry and manufacturing, this is more for customers in the production business or oil and gas, for refineries, for chemical industries. So where Youngwoo simulate also hazards like gas explosion, fire explosion, in a simulator, so not in real size, but in a simulator, so that people can see how heavily chemicals react, and always with the background also to give the workers the measures on hand, what they can do individually and why it's important to follow the safety measures in place. Then for public and civil safety, this is more for traffic safety. So that is also a field of Youngwoo for students or pupil training. So natural disasters, earthquake simulators for typhoon, hurricanes, or something like that. So in this region here, in the Asia Pacific region, specifically when it comes to whatever Hong Kong for typhoon or for Vietnam, then Youngwoo is more in the civil safety business in that field. And then virtual reality, and this is not a pure virtual reality, so it's combined with the practical things. So that means the trainees on some parts or some modules, they also supported by virtual reality. So when I talked in the beginning about scaffold and removing the gratings from scaffold, then sometimes we use also the virtual reality, so that the trainee get this feeling he is really in his work environment on site, working on a scaffold, walking on a scaffold, and then falling through an opening. But the fall is then a physical experience. So they really fall 2 meters into some soft mat down. So it's a combination to make it, yeah, what I said, much more realistic as possible, to get the attention of the workers, and that they better remember it when they are back on site in the real life, where there are no soft mats when they fall through a grating or through an opening. So that is with the virtual reality. And what I said for today, I just want to focus on the construction modules. And here you see some of the construction modules. Yeah, so we have this confined space module, and it starts with access or permission to enter a confined space. So what is required for that? What is the permit to work system for that? Where to get this signatures? What is the required PPE? What buddy system is in place? They learn about the oxygen content or the concentration of carbon monoxide or other toxic gases in a confined space. And you see the display there. There's a TV screen where they see then the limits, and then the trainer also simulate the different limits. So then the color change from this yellow, green to a red when it's over exceeded, or if it is below the minimum required content. Then just to let the workers know. In the confined space, you see, I mean, in front you see a big glass door, so the workers who are not attending actively this session, because I mean, in typical way, you have around 15 to 20 workers in this training park where they run through the modules. So 2 or 3 of them are actively participating in this confined space simulator exercise, and the rest is in front and see through this big glass door what's happening, what's going on inside. So inside this confined space simulator, there is to make it more realistic, there is a fog machine inside to simulate gas. You see there is one person inside, it's a dummy, so it's not a real person, it's a dummy, but simulating a painting activity so that we explain workers, okay, hey, what is the problem, or what is the risk when you are painting inside a confined space, and what precautions you need to do. So you have the air ventilation system, you have this oxygen measuring, you have the body system, whatever it is, yeah. So that's all what we train there practically with the workers. Then you can also use it for a full rescue exercise. So if you have your emergency response team, they can train ever confined space. So this dummies inside, you can imagine it's approximately 70 kilograms. So it reflects a sporty person, I would say. So it's something different if you tell your workers about rescue a person who is 70 kilogram on a PowerPoint slide, or if you do this in practice. So that is one of these advantage of doing this practically. So the next one, this guardrail collapse, is also one sample. I mean, I cannot explain all the modules, so I pick out just a few and hope this is somehow matching or reflecting also for your business. But the scaffold or guardrail collapse simulator. So this means the workers climb up the ladder here, they go to the platform, and then we ask them and say, okay, so now what happens if you lean over a guardrail, if you climb on a guardrail, and there's a hydraulic mechanism behind, so the trainer can release via a remote control tablet the scaffold or this guardrail collapse. So that means if you push the button, the guardrail collapse in front. So that gives the workers a shocking moment, or the trainees a shocking moment, when suddenly this guardrail collapsed to the ground. Yeah. So the workers are fixed with a safety harness. So it's not that they're falling down. It's only to give them the impression of this shocking moment. What can happen if I climb on a guardrail, or if I lean over a guardrail? So this is just an example for guardrail collapse. Then for excavation works, we have a digger here, an excavator. So we train workers on blind spots. So workers you see the shovel here, it's covered with a soft mat. So it's also that they stand in a radius of this excavator, and then they can also experience in the cabin how difficult it is for the operator of this excavator to overlook all the scene. So it's really something practicable to let the workers know why to follow walkways on site, not crossing areas where excavators are in action. So this is all practically, yeah. So they are much more behind. There's also a being stuck function with this. I think on the next slide I have one clip for that, so you can see it as well there. Let's go to fall from height, because fall from height, I mean, that is something for me. I don't know how many times I see that at least maybe workers wear the safety harness, but they are not properly connected to the structure. So here we want to teach them as well what about anchoring points, lifelines, what is a fall arrest system. It starts as well with the tagging or the green tag for the release of a scaffold structure. And then on top of this fall from height, there is what I said before, this floor opening. So it's really the workers go there, they wear the VR glasses in some cases, then they walk over this platform. And then on one point, the platform opened and the workers fell through. And they feel, because of the virtual reality glass, they feel they fell down in reality. And it's the same here. It's the shocking moment. We want that it's branded in their mind, yeah, so that they really not forget what can happen if I'm not reporting or not fixing openings at a scaffold or in general openings where somebody can fall through. So it's really risk awareness training here as well for this. Then the safety harness, on the right side here. You saw it in the video clip shortly, but we have I think I have another short video clip for the safety harness as well. So here they are in two teams. So one is assisting the others how to wear the safety harness, the full body harness correctly. Do a visual inspection. So what are the critical parts? How does it look if a safety harness is not in a good condition? What is the labeling on the safety harness? Then the parts of the fall arrest system, like a fall arrestor, shock absorber, lanyard. So all these tools will be explained, how to inspect, how to use it correctly, and then finally they get hooked on in this at this steel beam where you can see this suspension trauma simulator. So they get hooked on. The beam moves up to a certain height so that the workers can experience that they wear the safety harness correctly, because you feel it if you have not wear it correctly. So then if everybody is fine, then this the trainer, as same as for the scaffold guardrail collapse, push the release button, and this steel beam fell down to 20 centimeters, so that they fell also in the safety harness. Okay, what to do in case of this suspension trauma. So it's not that we let them hang there for 30 minutes or 45 minutes. It's just to let them know, okay, exercise your legs, do some cycling exercise, use the leg straps for that. So what they can do. Same here for the confined space. You can also train a rescue exercise for a person fall from height, so who is already in this hanging the safety harness. So it's a lot of options what you can use here to train workers really on the practical side for risk awareness. And modules in operation. So I have here one short clip. It's not a professional clip because we made it when we installed this training center in Europe. But anyhow, it reflects a little bit. So you see the guy here on the A-type ladder. So we explain, okay, where is the green steps, the yellow, and where you should not enter. And then we train them on the 3 points of contact. So we want them really to experience the difference using the 3 point of contact and using not, because so many times on site I see person wearing some tools or some equipment or whatever. Here we simulated with just a simple plastic water bottle. So only 2 points are fixed here. And then we ask them, okay, try to hold your weight on the ladder if the ladder collapses. You're not able. I mean, I tried it by myself, and you can be strong like you want. It's not possible to hold your weight there. And this is exactly what we want to experience the workers. What happened if you not follow the guidelines? And make them clear why we have this safety procedures in place. It's not because we want to employ 15 HSE managers on site. It's because we want that they are safe, and that's for us important, that they know where the hazards and risks and how easily accidents can happen. Here on the right side, you see the crushed by machinery simulator. So this being stuck, what I said before, with the excavator. So when they, you see here the two person, I mean, they're simulating it for us for the movie. Yeah. So we just tell them, we said, okay, be distracted from your work. You show them something on your booklet or on your mobile phone, and then an excavator is moving, or heavy machinery on site in general is moving, and the driver did not see you because you stand in the slipstream of this excavator. And what happened is very easy here. So you see, and then what we tell the workers here is, I mean, this part is made of plastic, yeah. So it's not metal. Here is a soft mat. The excavator is moving slowly. I mean, you can adjust the speed level as well, so it can also move more quickly. But anyhow, the important thing is that in reality, this is made of metal, yeah, and it hurts, and you don't have a soft mat here. And if you're in a very bad position, you also can overrun by the excavator. So these are experience training, what we use them. And it's not only that we use it here for the training, it's more that we use the safety guidelines here on site. So what every worker need to do, that this will not happen to them in practice. So just as a short video clip here, how the modules operate. Then we have the electrical safety part, because that's also something interesting. I mean, it's an electrical safety board. So this electrical safety board can be equipped with the electrical parts what you use on site. So it's not a standard thing. So it's just that maybe you tell us and say, okay, we need this, we need that, we need something for the circuit breakers, we need something for distribution box or whatever. And electrical safety experience means that here on the let me see, here on this one you see two hand tools. So we let workers, we explain them the power consumption of their tools. Yeah. So in that case, the machines have a certain amount of power consumption, what they need in operation. And the reason behind is that on site, this client said, hey, we have so many times workers on site, they use multiple sockets to extend their amount of tools, and they plug in a drilling machine, a grinding machine, whatever, a fan or whatever they use on site, they put it in, but then the cable is not designed for it. So we, in a next box, I think also I have a video on the next slide for that, is we tell them, if you put too many of these devices in the box, and yet you can do this, so the workers bring their own tools from site, we put it then in the multiple socket, and then in this box here, you can only see the half box, but on the next slide I have a picture. So in this box we simulate then the cable burn. So that is if we have overconsumption, that you can easily risk cable burn on site. So that's some part of this electrical safety training. Then damaged electrical tools. So we let them inspect the tools. We have one tool which is prepared with some metal dots. So the worker gets this tool in his hand, and there will be a stray leakage through the worker. Yeah, so it will be a very, very little. So not like the maybe co-fans or whatever we know from the real life. It's very little, so that you can feel this drizzling in your hands, that there is something wrong with the tool. So that is really to let them know, hey, you need to be careful when you use your tools. Check it for cable damage, for any breaks from because there's a risk of this stray leakage. So that's some parts of this electrical safety training. I mean, there is much more with logout, tagout training and so on, but not for now because it will be too long. The chemical safety is another one. So we also train here workers on the use of chemicals, hazardous substances, why we have material safety data sheet, what is the content of this. There is a training also for chemical spill, what to do in case of chemical spill. It will be from some clients combined with emergency procedures, so what to do in the case of a chemical accident. So then hoist crane, that is all with lifting and rigging technique. So it is a sling tension measurement in. So for the riggers and also for the lifting operators to see the different tension in the sling, depending on what angle you use the slings. The communication and signaling between the operators, the banksman, the signalman on site. So all these things, what we train here with the hoist crane. Then you see the firefighting is one element. How to use a fire extinguisher. So you see here this black drum, and there's a real fire below the black drum, so it's not simulated by a TV or something like this. So it's a real fire, and then the workers need to use correctly the fire extinguisher to firefight the fire. In the background, you see a box. It's more the extension there. Some customers want to have also escape for offices or building, that they simulate a dark room with the emergency procedure, how to escape from such rooms. And so that's a more extensive one. But for sites, usually we use the firefighting so that the workers on site are not trained as real firefighters, but if they are welding and they have their fire extinguisher and there is a start of a small fire, that they know how to use correctly a fire extinguisher. And then here the emergency response plan. If the fire cannot be extinguished, then what to do, what phone numbers, what is the emergency response team doing, where are the assembly points, and blah, blah, blah. So all this can be trained here with the firefighting. Then heavy machinery, you saw the video, so I think no need now to explain here again. And let's better look on the next video for the overcurrent experience, where I said when the workers bring their tools, put it in the multiple socket, and then we just simulate an overcurrent experience. And I let run the clip. So the first thing what you can see when it starts, I mean, don't focus here too much on the camera. That was also from the ThyssenKrupp team because they want to use it for the internal. So now you see here the fume coming up. So the isolation is melting. So you see more and more fume, and that's. I stop here for a second because this is also important to show the workers. It's in most cases not the fire who kills you. It is really the smoke or the fume from this fire. Yeah, and I mean we explain them. It's poison. It's because of the plastic or this rubber insulation here. And then you see more and more fog coming out. And then on one moment, there's a flash. There's the flash. And then you see the fire start. So here you can see the fire. Yeah, so this is how we practically show them that this can happen if you not follow the design for the cables or if you put too many multiple sockets in others. So, and this demonstration for the workers is much more impressive. That's from my experience. If you just tell them on a PowerPoint slide, don't do this. So what I said before, if you have workers with language barriers or not properly trained or not skilled, then it's difficult difficult to explain it by a PowerPoint slide. So that's why we really love this practical training. So another one here for the safety harness. I mean, it's just for the reason for time, I just skipped the visual inspection of the safety harness and how to wear the safety harness. It's now moving up the beam here. So you see it's also from the ThyssenKrupp side. So moving up, and then we tell them, okay, if you hang in a safety harness, don't hang there, just move your legs because of the risk of this suspension trauma or this suspension trauma. And then you see now the free fall, that was the free fall, you see. And then it's really that they fall in their safety harness. And for us, and not only for us, I mean, that's also the feedback from our customers. It's so important that the workers experience this in reality. For the why it's so important to have a fall arrest system, and why it's much more important also to connect it to the structure. So now this experience is finished. And I mean, here as well, they train much more also on hazards and risks they have on their construction site. Where are areas for working at heights? What's the same here? What training qualifications required? What tagging system required before you enter a scaffold? And all this is also part here of the safety harness simulator. Yeah, and then I think this is the last slide for the hand safety, so not the last slide for the construction safety training modules. So hand injuries. I think hand injuries are among the most common injuries on construction sites. I mean, at least from my experience, when I was on site, we had hand safety or hand injuries are most common there. So what we train workers here as well is that first of all, the tools and the hand tools, what they use, we use good and bad examples. Sometimes we also collect good and bad, not good, sorry. We collect only the bad examples from sites. So when we do our site walk and we see workers using improper tools, we talk to them, we tell them, hey, this is not okay because you see this and that and that. So please take another tool which is fixed. And we take this improper tool into the training park, and then we use it as a bad example and say, hey, this is not fake, this is nothing we prepared here specifically for you. This is really made by you or used by you on site, and we don't want to see this on site. So that they also get the relation to the practice, to the practical things on site. Then we have demonstration here for, I mean, you can get trapped by a gear drive, you can reach your hand into a V-belt drive, so you can trap by the machine, and the trainees can really do this because they get not injured. They feel, okay, wow, yeah, there is a risk that this machine how can I say, soak my fingers inside. So then the machine stops and nothing happened to the workers there. Yeah, so that's in general for all the modules. Yeah, so the modules are designed that they are not giving any danger to the trainees. They can do a finger cut simulation as well. So that is when we train them about safety gloves, because we always can tell them, hey, you need to wear the correct safety gloves. And yeah, then excuses are many on site. They said, oh, my supervisor did not give me, my company give me only this one, and blah, 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 blah. So they have a lot of excuses, but in the training center, we want to experience them the finger cut simulation by using the correct gloves and using not the correct gloves. So it's not that we take one person and say, oh, I think this person can also work with 4 fingers in the future. So it's not hurting, it's not damaging person or injured person. It's really to give a feeling, how can I protect my fingers with the right gloves? Yeah, so there's a machine or a module for this where we can simulate it. And yeah, it's quite funny because workers at the beginning, they are a little scared when they see this, but then when they tried it, they feel, wow, this is really good example of how to learn the correct gloves for this. Yeah, then what also possible is first aid training with CPR, ID training. So some customers use it as well to train their workers as qualified first aiders. So that can be also used for that. Yeah, scaffolding. I said it before. It's a practical parkour for the scaffolding. So before the trainer starts with the training for the workers, the trainer simulates some hazards on the scaffold. Yeah, so maybe he removes some clamp, or he lose some clamps, or he remove grating, or there is no tagging on the scaffold. So some of the simple things what they observed on site, or what they experienced from previous incidents on site. So they just simulate it here. They leave some material on the top of the scaffold, which can then cause injury by dropped object. So, and then when they start with the training, the trainer let the first worker run and say, okay, find the failures. There are whatever, 7, 8 failures on the scaffold. So please watch out and find. And then the first worker run up to the top level because he saw the loose material there. But then he made the first mistake because he did not check, is it green or red tagged? So in the first attempt, we do a red tag because we want them to do something wrong, that they understand where they need to look on in the reality. So that's some part how to use a scaffold training there. Then ladder safety, we saw the video, so I also skip it here. Then manual handling is the interesting part, because I think on most construction sites we see workers not properly use the manual handling. Maybe they know, but they not do this. So then we have a station here as well where they can experience the correct handling techniques. So you see the question mark on the boxes. So in each box there are different weight, and we ask them, what do you think? How much weight is it? And then they lift it. They say, oh, I think it's maybe 8 kilogram, but it's 15 or something. Yeah. So just to let them experience, hey, you see, what you feel is not what you have in reality. So the weight is different there. Yeah, then we have here one reference. That is another one. This is in Brunei. This is a training park, training center in Brunei on a fertilizer plant. So the fertilizer plant is now in this direction where we made the photo. So this construction, this training park is as well in front of the construction site. And one point here, what they changed right now, and this has been not considered in the original design, was the weather condition. Because we thought in the beginning, we thought, okay, Brunei is nice weather, it's always warm, and so, but okay, we learned, okay, they have some rain, and the sun can be very, very hot. And I think when we talk about Australia, I mean, I was there a couple of times for vacation, and the sun can be really, really hot. So that's better than also to cover it with a sun shelter, or with a type of a roof. There are options. So in the meantime, the customer here made a sun shelter there for this. Same as well, if you have frost or extreme cold, then it's also better to have it indoor and not outdoor. So there are options, there are many options how to install such a training park or training center. Yeah, the training sessions itself, I mean, you see the modules are now in a circle. So the groups start on this side. Here's this lifting, rigging, electrical board, hand tools, and so on. So they run this parkour in a certain direction. And I mean, for the group size, we recommend always not more than 20 trainees or 20 workers, because otherwise the group is too big and you lose the attention of some of the workers if the group is too big. Because if everybody wants to experience, then it will take longer and longer if everybody can do this. So maximum 20, so usually 15 to 20 trainees are in one session. The session for a normal round in this size is around 90 to 120 minutes. And it depends. I mean, what I said, you can also do a full rescue exercise for a confined space with the emergency response team. Then maybe it will take half day or a full day if you involve as well the external ambulance or fire brigade or whatever. So it's really up to you then, or up to the end customer, how they use the training center for their trainings. What we always recommend is to use also the permit to work system. So their own permit to work system, their own risk assessments, their own job safety analyzers, their own lockout tagout procedures. So their own safety procedures and safety guidelines, what they use on site. So we always recommend, if you go to electrical safety, take your procedures for electrical safety and introduce it combined with this practical module. So this is just how such a training part can be used. And for reference projects, so you see these are just the major ones. So at the moment there are 150 domestic, 20 also. These are the most construction at home and abroad. So there are more smaller ones, but for the bigger ones are, you see the focus concentration at the moment is on Singapore. There are some in Malaysia, Brunei, what I said. So the thing is, we or Youngwoo maintain always a very good friendship with the customers. So that allows us to visit also the safety training centers with other clients, so that you can get, or that they can get a first impression on the function, on the quality of the modules. They can talk to the customers there, what is their experience with the training center. So that's what we usually do or did before, unfortunately, COVID-19 came, and with the travel restrictions right now it's not possible. But in the future, hopefully, we will come back to something like normal, and then we hopefully can also visit the construction, the training center sites with interested customers on that. One good thing and one good news is we have right now an ongoing project in New Zealand. So that will be the first training center in New Zealand for our customer Link Alliance. So they built the metro system there. And we started with this project during the COVID-19, so on 15th September. So the modules are now all manufactured and on shipping. And we hope then that by maybe end of November or beginning of December, the Link Alliance team can install the modules in their training center. And you see on the picture some training modules. So this is a slip, trip, and fall experience. So they have one limit with the height, so that is why we put it on the ground. Usually we use it as well with a ladder to climb up and then walk on the pathway and come down from this slip, trip, and fall experience. But again, here is just a height limit, so that is why it's on the ground. Then they have here the dropped object safety simulator. So that is where how they simulate a dropped object. Or hit by dropped object, the impact, and all this. Then they have the hand tools, and here this cutting experience, what I said before for the safety gloves. They have an electrical safety board with their specific things, and also designed for the New Zealand electrical requirements. Then the last one here is a safety glass experience, because one problem there was, or challenge they have, is that workers not always wearing their safety glasses. And with this experience, we show them what can happen if you not wear your safety glasses. So the workers can experience here what it means if something fly to your eyes. Let's say it in this way. So the good thing is the customer Link Alliance also can install this independently, and that's something new, because before Youngwoo's engineer need to go to site and then assemble and do the commissioning of all these modules. But due to the situation with the COVID-19, we changed our or upgraded our systems, our modules, so that it's really a plug in and start philosophy behind. So you get the modules, you only need to install it at your location, and then you just need to plug in the plug, and then you get the power for the modules, and then you can directly operate the modules. So it's something new. We never did it before, and we are curious to see how it works with New Zealand. And if it works, it's also a cost saving then for the customer, because if you don't need any Youngwoo engineers on site to install it and to do the commissioning, then for sure it's also a cost factor here. And finally, and that is, I think, also the last slide here, is a success story. So there was one movie clip from the CNA. This is from the Singaporean News Center, where they reported the installation of the training center of the latest one in Singapore. Then on this slide, you see also the impact on the construction project. Yeah? So in Egypt, what I said, we started with a relatively high total recordable incident rate, and that was also the point where we installed the training center. So in August 16 was the opening, and then from September we count, and then we were able to bring down the incident rates to a very, very good level, which brings us then in 2018 also the second place in the Werner von Siemens Award, which was the highest ranking for HSE, because usually all the cost saving or cost reduction projects, they get the first 5 places there. So it was very good and also impressive by and recognized by the management board of Siemens. And I just summarized here the reduction of accident rates or incident rates here. That then, I mean, through this independent testing and learning, the workers or the trainees better remember this. And with this, we support a better safety awareness for the workers. That they can do, or making mistakes and experience the consequence of unsafe working, that also leads to a positive change in the safety behavior on site. And at least you have as well definitely a higher motivation and concentration, and also fun by doing this, because workers are an active part here. And with this, I'm done for the presentation, and I think we have some minutes left. And I hope it was not too boring, because talking about a practical experience by exactly giving a PowerPoint is not the best to present it, but at the moment we cannot travel, and so I hope I could give the experience exchange here, what's possible or what can be done in addition to a normal classroom training. Thank you for that, and let's see if there are any questions. Sarah.
Thank you very much, Matthias. So we have got some questions. Well, they're more discussion points. So Cole has said, I see that excellent exercise where workers get suspended in harnesses. I recognize that the anchor point on the harness is high on the back. It's the conventional approach in construction. I have had mountaineering experience. Rock climbers and arborists will never anchor in that place. They always use the front anchor, mainly because self-rescue is all but impossible otherwise. What is your practical experience with these anchors on the back?
Yeah, so typically we have all training centers also in practice on the back. So when I remember construction sites here in Malaysia or in Egypt or India or whatever, they always use it on the back side. But it can be also done on the front side. Then the training part or this training simulator can be adjusted to that if this is a specific requirement. And that's also in general. I mean, if these are just the examples from how the customer use it, and they are designed to the customer needs. So if there is any other design wish, then it can be changed, it will be checked, it will be revised, it will be discussed with you, and then it can be designed in another way as well.
Okay, so he's also added that the issue of harness suspension risk, the effect of blood circulation restriction when suspended vertically in the harness versus a front connection, allowing a victim to spread the load more evenly. But as you said, it's your situation is customizable for that.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So also, he's also mentioned, which is interesting, related issue with falls risks. My confirmation is aligned with what is used in mountaineering and hardcore work at height. The issue being the poor level of protection from the conventional $12 helmet used in construction versus a $120 proper helmet that they use in mountaineering. What is your view about the cheaper helmet being so common on construction sites?
My experience is it depends on what country you are. The helmets are very, very different what they use. I mean, when I talk about, let's go back to India, then I'm happy if workers anyhow wear a safety helmet. But what we want to do is with the simulating of the or with the simulators is also to not only for the workers but also let the management walk once time through this training center. So usually we do this with the opening so that the management also learn and understand why they should better invest in proper helmets. Workers learn also about the labeling in the helmet, the expiry date of the helmets, why it's so important. And it's what I said, it's not only for the workers. I mean, even if I talk in this presentation always about the workers learn, the workers should do, blah, 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 but it's also for supervisors, engineers, so that they understand why they better should invest in the proper equipment or in the proper PPE for the workers. Same for the equipment. I mean, certified equipment, that is one point. Labeling on the equipment, inspection intervals. So this all will be trained as well in the training center. And some of the trainings are specifically for the middle management. That means for the engineer and supervisors on site. So there are no workers then. This is really then for engineers and supervisors where they got those information what they can do to support their workers in working safe.
Okay, Ken asks, do you lease or sell the systems? And he's also asked, for a large construction project, do you supply staff for the life of the project?
Yeah, that's a good point. Sorry, I forgot to mention. Yeah, the thing is with the training center. So usually what we do is a train the trainer concept. So that means after installation of the training center, then a trainer from Youngwoo will come. It depends on the number of modules, but one trainer will visit then the site for at least maybe 5 full days and give the training to the local trainers. So it's no need that trainers from Youngwoo need to be hired for the duration of the project or something. So it's really that train the trainer concept. That means that we train your trainers to make the best use of this training center for your workers.
All right. So there's only just one other comment in the chat, and that was just from Bridget, and she said thanks. She's really interested. There's a couple of other comments in the chat as well. Greg said he worked on a Lend-Lease water project and having a dedicated small practical training facility set up was really helpful and effective. Budget was on a shoestring and many subcontractors' favors called, but they made it happen. So that's it. Hang on, there's another question. And we've done that one. So that's it for all the questions. And that was really interesting. Cole has said just now he likes the practical experience elements of the system, but he's asking what is the effect of this system on your indemnity insurance?
On your what? On your?
Indemnity insurance.
Indemnity insurance.
He might must be your insurance premiums in general, whether that.
Okay. Oh, I'm not sure what this what the benefit is on that, but maybe it's a good question to ask our customers as well, if they have any benefit then on the insurance there. But we haven't asked this, or we haven't got any feedback from our customers for that. But it's a good point to ask them. I mean, yeah, would be interesting, because usually we ask our customers, we say, hey, how is it going? Are you satisfied? Is there anything where we need to adjust? But we have never asked for financial benefit, maybe from insurance point of view or something. But it's a good point. Yeah, I cannot answer right now, but I definitely will ask my clients or my customers.
Well, this is on a side subject, but we've got a case study we did with a client, Adecco, and they reduced their insurance premiums by tremendous amount just from using.
It's a good point, really.
Because,
yeah, it's a good point, because usually what customers share is if they win an award or if they got honored by the organization, then this information we get. Yeah. So, but from the cost perspective, it's a good point. Yeah.
And Ken just finally says, I'm keen to know if you need to buy the equipment and you're left with it at the end, or do you buy it back?
No, there is at the moment there is no buy back option. But what Youngwoo at the moment provides is that the training center after use, it can be deassembled, it can be maintained, or a full maintenance check, and then it can be reassembled at another site, at another location. So that's always possible with the training centers, to move it to the next construction site. So let's say if you talk for a massive or for a big construction site where the project duration is about 2 to 3 years, then it makes sense to install such a big training center. If you have a smaller site, then there's also an option for container solutions. So then you get the modules in a 40-feet container. You can move it very quickly from one location to the next one. So this is possible, but a buyback option is not at the moment in place with Youngwoo.
All right, thank you so much, Matthias. I'm just sharing a link to our webinar page for, we'll be running them up till around the 17th of December, and then taking a break for a few weeks. So if you want to sign into any of those. And thank you all the way from Malaysia. Thank you, Matthias. That was really, really interesting. If anyone has any questions, your email address information will be in the email that we send out later today. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. No. I mean, I'm happy also if there are any questions to the other sectors what we have not discussed today or not presented today, or for the container solution concept, whatever it is. Then yeah, just drop me an email and then we can get in contact.
Great. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day, and talk to you next week.
Okay. You too. Yeah. And thanks for your time, and thanks for listening, and at least also thank you very much for inviting me to present it. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thanks. Thanks, Matthias. Bye. See you.
Okay. See you.